Hi, checking in today. I've actually barricaded myself in a corner of my room so I could have a moment kid free because I wanted to chat. And give me just one moment. I wanted to chat with you all and share a little bit, about my life and how I showed up and what's brought me to this moment, and what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. So I just want to say to all my mamas going through it and feeling like you're in this place where you have lost a little bit about yourself because you are just so encapsulated in mom life and doing all the right things for your child. I get it. I was you. I am you. And I've only just recently come out the other side. So I was that first-time mom who maybe, like some of you, didn't want to leave my baby, right? I was a big attachment parent, and I believed very strongly in nursing my child, and being there for my child and kind of beckoning every call. So much so that even when I went back to work, I went back modified, and then that eventually led me to leaving work altogether because I couldn't justify to myself on an emotional level being at work while my child was not with me if I wasn't doing something that helped me feel productive, that wasn't doing anything at work that like really helped me progress myself and make a difference in this world. And still to this day, right, I've been a mom now for only almost 4 years, but it's still almost 4 years. I have never left my kids for a night. And I was at a dinner party the other night when I mentioned to somebody who travels all the time, who does every few months, him and his wife go on excursions where they leave the kids for a night, and they take that time for themselves. And I had mentioned to them that I had never left my kids, not even for a night, neither myself or my husband, because we have this level of discomfort with that, where we want to be there for our kids. We want to be able to wake up with them in the morning. And to this, I say to each his own, like if you're if you schedule like an awesome vacation with yourself and your partner and you want to get away, please go away guilt-free. I mean, like, you are so deserving of that time. I'm just talking about my reality, where I was and where I am now and what brought me to that point. So because I practiced so deeply attachment parenting and I believed so strongly, in that for my own self, what happened is that I got pushed to my breaking point, right? I believed that my duty, especially as a new mom with a young kid, was to really be by my child's side when they needed me. And because of that, I didn't honor things that were calling me. I didn't want to leave my child for a few hours, because what if they needed me, or what if they needed to nurse? What would have happened then? And who would have stepped in, either if it was like my husband or a parent, who would have stepped in when I could have done a better job in the moment of soothing my child and fulfilling their needs. So if you are that mom currently going through those situations, I hear you. I feel you. I was you not that long ago. But what happened to me is that I wound up getting pregnant again while my first was only 9 months old, right? So I went from having a newborn, having a toddler at only 9 months old, getting pregnant again, and then dealing with issues of guilt because I was leaving my one-on-one time with my firstborn so soon, much sooner than I could have ever predicted. But then I went from I got into this place where I was pregnant. I had a toddler, a 9-month-old. I was pregnant again. And before I knew it, I had 2 babies. Literally 2 babies. I had a newborn and a toddler, both of whom were nursing, right? So now I'm stuck again. Now I'm nursing 2 kids, and I have, and I'm practicing this detachment parenting with 2 babies. And it brought me to this point where I was having meltdowns. So I remember a few distinct moments after my second was born, after my son was born, when I was lying in bed. I hadn't slept. I was nursing either child for hours, and I was having these mom-sized meltdowns where I literally was in bed, kicking and screaming, flailing my feet, and at one point I even screamed, I quit, in the middle of the night, and walked out of my bedroom and sat on my living room couch. Where the hell I was going, I don't know, but I needed that expression, right? I needed that expression because I was just overwhelmed. I was completely overwhelmed. physically, mentally, my body was used for nourishing others. My mental, emotional, and spiritual self were all put into my kids. And what I didn't give to my kids, I lackluster gave to my husband, and that left nothing for me. So I call these like my mom-sized meltdowns, but they're true because I was in my bed, kicking my feet, literally screaming, I quit, and slamming the door at like 3 o'clock in the morning and leaving my husband in bed with 2 babies, fully knowing I was going to have to like get over this tantrum and go back in and save the day, essentially. So that led to my ultimate breakdown. I had a few of these mom-sized meltdowns, and they never made me feel good, right? They always made me feel like shit ultimately because I was nurturing everybody but myself, and I was doing all these mom things, and I completely forgot and lost sight of what I needed to do for my own self. So that led me to my ultimate breakdown, which was in a summertime, because I remember when it happened, I ran into my backyard and I literally felt like I was being sucked down a black hole. I knew at that point to like ask for time to myself, and to take it. But when I took it, it was like to go to the supermarket. So what's that? That's like not time for yourself, I mean, it is, but you're still doing all the mom things, but it's not time to process and to grow and to learn and to do the things that my soul really called me to do. So in let's be honest, it was my last breakdown. But in my most poignant breakdown that I had, I truly, truly needed a few minutes to myself. At the time, I didn't know what that meant. I just needed to be without kids and family, and I needed to focus on myself, if even just for a few moments. And I ran into my backyard because it wasn't happening. My husband came home and he had something to do, and I wasn't able to leave the kids. I wasn't able to sneak out. So in that moment, I ran into my backyard, and I literally felt like I was being sucked down a black hole, like twisted down, fastly twisted down. And I remember just like feeling overwhelmed and feeling like something's got to give here, right? Something's got to give, because now I've been a mom for 2.5 years. I haven't had a moment for myself. I haven't taken that chance to do the things that set my soul on fire, to take that time for myself, because there was always a need of somebody else's that I was running to fulfill. I remember running into my backyard and like feeling like my head was going to explode. And I finally said to myself, like, this is enough. This is the moment where I decide to honor myself, and that's the moment where I started to bring in meditation as a regular practice into my life, because I felt like it was worth a shot. But that was the moment too where I switched and I said, you know what, if I go out of the house, if I go out to dinner with a girlfriend, or if I go into the city because there's something that I want to see, and I leave for a few hours, that everybody's going to be okay. Right? But most importantly, and this is what I had forgotten since becoming a mom, most importantly, I was going to be okay. Right? And I switched the thought process of just it being about my kids to it also being about me, and finding that balance, and realizing, like, and I'll say this bluntly, but realizing that I matter too, damn it. And that means for me, if I want to show up to be a grounded mom, if I want to show up to be a present mom for the times that I am with my kids, I have to be willing to take this time for myself. Right? I have to be willing to do all the things, and not all the things for everybody else, but all the things for me, so that I can show up and be the mom that I truly wish to be. Does that make sense? To me, it made a lot of sense, but it didn't make a lot of sense until I started actively doing that for myself. It's one thing to say that you want to be a calm and grounded mom, and it's one thing to say that you want to do all these things and meditate regularly and do these affirmations, but I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to be very blunt, that's all bullshit if you don't actually do it. Right? You can never model being a grounded mom if you're not doing the things that ground you. You can never model being the type of woman who cares for herself and really works on self-care if you never really do it. And let me just step in to say, putting on a face mask and lotioning yourself every now and then is not enough of self-care, okay? It's awesome that you take care of your skin. Those are all beautiful things, but that's not self-care, okay? Let's not convince ourselves that we're really taking care of ourselves because we make a homemade face mask. Taking care of ourselves is actually stepping out of your comfort zone and doing the things. That means going to the things, leaving the kids behind, if even just for a few hours, to learn, to grow, to be in community. Those are the things that truly fill our soul. Those are the things that allow us to come back into our home without guilt, knowing that we made the right decision for us, not for our kids, not for our partners, but made the right decision for us. And that's really where it comes into play. So for me, my life kind of transformed from that one moment in my backyard, and what I've decided to do since then is put on these workshops and put on these events. So I have this amazing event coming up on February 24th, and my keynote speaker is Elena Brower. I'm gonna step in quickly to say all of my speakers are amazing, and if you haven't done your due diligence and looked them up, they are incredible people who walk the walk, talk the talk, and then inspire others by their own knowledge of parenting and mindfulness, and then most importantly, parenting from this state of fulfillment, right? Because that's really what it's all about. But Elena Brower especially is an awesome person to know. She's a leading mindfulness and yoga expert. She travels the world to teach about mindfulness and yoga. But she's also a single mom, right? And that's an even more compounded stress on a woman being a mom and finding that time for actual self-care and finding that time for fulfillment, because you're relying solely on yourself. So her story is just truly inspiring. And at our event, all of our speakers are going to be speaking, but then they're going to be pulling in small groups so that you can work on this smaller basis with them. And you can learn from them firsthand, and you can have these solid takeaways to know when you feel pushed to that breaking point, when you feel those normal feelings that we feel as moms, that why is everybody else's needs coming before mine? These are the solid takeaways that you can take from this event to apply to your life so that you can show up for yourself. And that's past the superficial. That's past just the sneaking out to get the nails done. That's past just sneaking out by yourself to go to the supermarket for yourself. It's really what is going to link you from just being mom you to you plus mom you. I love who I am as a mom, but I love who I am more as a person. And that took me almost 4 years to come into that place of realness and understanding for my own self. But I needed that because I was never going to benefit. I was never going to benefit my children if I didn't take that time to do the things that lit my soul on fire. And most importantly, I was never going to be a benefit to my relationship with my husband. That was only going to get worse if I didn't forge that space for myself, which meant having to ask him to watch the kids while I went out and I did some things for myself, by myself, not just going to the supermarket. That meant trusting sitters or family to watch my kids, if even for a few hours. That meant knowing that when I left, my kids were going to cry. Maybe they cried when I walked out the door. Maybe they cried because they missed me during that time, but they were going to cry, but I was going to be back, and I was going to be back more fulfilled, more excited to see them. And I was going to so enjoy seeing their reaction when I walk back into the door. And that's what it's really all about. We can't post these inspirational quotes on Facebook and not do all the things, not do all the things that actually light your soul on fire, whatever that is. So if lighting your soul on fire does mean coming to this workshop or learning how to be more present, grounded woman for your own self, I hope you decide to come. I hope you decide that this investment of $60 is worth it for you, is worth it for your relationship with your partner. If you're a single mom, is worth it for just how you show up in this world, because we forget as a mom that we're worth it too. So that's my message today. You're worth it too. And the breakdowns may happen, but how we rebound and how we actually tune in to do all the things is how we continue to show up for ourselves, for our children, and the work that we do to ultimately change the world. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this time to watch this, to focus on you, if even just for those few minutes. Let's not forget that we're worth it too. Bye.